Can you see me? Yay! There we are. Can you guys see me? Hi, everybody. Yay! We're here. You're here. I'm here. It's all happening. Cecilia's back. All is well with the world. How are you guys? How's it going this beautiful Monday? Woo! I'm really happy to see you guys. Welcome, welcome in. So, if you're old, then you know what today is. If you're new, today might be new to you. So today is integration. What we used to call integration, now it's coaching. It's your chance to ask questions and get answers. And I'm really, really, really happy to see you. I just got my hair done yesterday, so colored yesterday. So thank you for that. I'm old too. Aww. Honestly, the weather's been really bad. The very unfortunate accident that caused us to lose those beautiful souls yesterday, among them Kobe Bryant and his daughter, and some of the coaching staff from Orange Coast College, which is a community college next to the university that I went to. I have friends who are professors at Orange Coast College. That fog was real. I mean, for the last 3 days up until today, and then all of a sudden today, there's no fog. Isn't it the most bizarre, strange thing? So I've been sending energy nonstop to the friends and family of those who were lost. Thanks, you guys. Really appreciate that. But the weather was really weird. We normally don't have fog this time of year. I mean, that was so uncharacteristic. No, Scout, my hair did not get longer, but when I have big gray up here, it's like the gray is like a vortex of gray. And what I'm convinced is it makes everybody look here. And then when my hair is not gray up here, then everybody notices how long it is. Anyway, okay. Today is going to be quite the day. I want to ask a favor before we begin. So one of my best friends in the world, her name is Kirsten Powers. She's a columnist and she's a contributor to CNN. If you watch cable news, she used to work for Fox. Now she works for CNN. And Kirsten launched her new podcast today called How to Do You. It's the How to Do You show, and it's a show about how to reclaim your authentic power. And she's interviewing all kinds of people. Her first two guests are Marianne Williamson and Jimmy Kimmel. So you'll be seeing those episodes. Please go follow her on Instagram. She'd really get a kick out of it. She needs a little SG love. And so if you have an Instagram and you wouldn't mind, I wouldn't ask unless it was she really is one of my very best friends in the whole world. One of the very few people in the world that I talk to every single day. At some point, she'll probably interview me. The conversations she and I have are very interesting. What's funny is we never talk about politics. And even though she lives in that world, I'm not that interested in politics. Personally, we just don't talk about that. We have a thriving, energetic friendship. So, Team SG, would you do me a favor and pop in the link for Kirsten's Instagram? Her name is Kirsten Powers. And she was on CNN last night. She's actually in New York right now on location at CNN because of what's happening with the ongoing trial, and she's a contributor for that. So if you... if I will tell you, she's the real deal. She's a solid. And like I said, she is one of my very best friends in the whole world. So Team SG, if you're there, I would so appreciate it if you could just pop the link up for them so that they can go and follow her. And thank you so much for doing that. Okay, so today, once you follow Kirsten, you'll love her, by the way. I mean, and what's funny is she and I, when we talk every day, it's like our voices are the same, our mindsets are the same. If you love me, you will love her too. And thank you for supporting my friend. Because whatever else she is to everybody else, reporter, columnist, magic person, she's my friend. So thank you for supporting her. Okay. Today, we have a lot, and I just want to tell you, I was so inspired. I do a lot of prep work before these before these sessions, my beloved team prints out all your questions for me, and then I go through and grade them like a professor, circling things. I don't grade them, but I make notes, right? So I'm going to get through as much as I can today. I will tell you this week is nuts because I'm leaving for Tucson with my travel team. Alexis is coming with me. Jesse and Aziz are coming with me. Brooklyn's coming with me. Dave's coming with me. I'm going to do my best. No, I really do take this very seriously because this is my opportunity to coach you one-on-one. In a perfect world, I would be able to do that more fully. So I take this opportunity really seriously. So what I will tell you is I'm going to get through everything I can today, and then I will follow up with an audio. I'm just not exactly sure when. Usually I'm able to do that within 24 hours, but my schedule tomorrow is full, back to back, and the same with Wednesday before I leave. I leave for Tucson Wednesday night after our class. So after our class, we all huddle, go to the airport, get on a plane. So just stay tuned. She has 142 followers already. That little cutie pie is going to be really excited later. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's dive right in. I don't want to waste any time, and so I hope you're excited. You can feel free to ask questions in the feed. I'm going to try to prioritize the questions on the page, though, for today. Some questions will get longer answers than others, and I'm teaching you a concept today called lateral thinking. Team SG takes notes, and so you don't have to worry about it, but it's actually something from my coaching days. But a lot of you had questions about how do I improve discernment? And discernment, let me tell you, is probably the most important skill you will cultivate as a priestess. Discernment isn't necessarily understanding the difference between right and wrong. Discernment is the ultimate intuition, right? It's being able to apply wisdom. Wisdom on its own, knowledge on its own, information on its own, that's not that helpful. Discernment is the application of wisdom. And a lot of your questions had to do with discernment, and so I want to teach this to you. It's a technique, and I think it's going to help you a lot. So stay tuned. So I'm going to dive right in. I'm glad you're here. It was a fucking fantastic question. So Casey Abraham said, in priestessing, you're not there to judge right or wrong. I'm struggling with this situationally. I find it difficult and in turn welcome guidance on remaining neutral on things like drunk drivers who put themselves and others in danger. Is that not wrong? I live very close to Seattle where there have been some shootings this week. I feel like that is wrong, but I welcome understanding. Is it recognizing others have soul contracts? Generally, I do very well remaining neutral, but this is throwing me a curveball. So I'm going to dive right in with Casey. So glad you guys are here. Okay. There's three different ways to come at your question, okay? The first thing is neutrality is not inaction. You know, the priestess, remember from the Rider-Waite from the tarot, right? She sits between the pillars, the black and white pillars, which represent her ability to sit between all things that are dichotomous. Her ability to sit between right and wrong, to sit between black and white, to sit between yes and no. She sits between, right? However, she's not inactive. What she does is she hesitates to form a judgment. She hesitates to form a judgment. This is for full moon, so I forgot to move it. Sorry about that. Or not sorry. I'm sure you're probably enjoying the view. She hesitates to form a judgment. One thing, though, that you have to remember, and this is probably the more important answer to your question, okay? And I'm so glad you asked it. You're not here to fix, change, solve. I know it's really hard. I know, and I'm telling you this not to discourage you, but to cue siren. I'm actually telling you this to encourage you. You don't need to fix, change, solve. So, you know, if you want to speak up about something, if you want to speak out about something, there's nothing holding you back. The number one thing I would tell you, though, okay, is make sure as a priestess, when you do speak out, okay, that you do so from a place of having all your facts in order. One of the things I have learned is to, and I've learned this like across the board in my life, I really take my time speaking out, talking about things, expressing my thoughts and views on things, because what I've realized is I don't have all the information all the time. When someone judges a situation, from my perspective, they should have all the facts. They should know everything that's happened. They should know both sides of the story. They should have a complete awareness of everything involved in what they're judging. Then what I say is judge. Judge yourself to oblivion. The problem is there's very few times in my life where I feel like I have all the facts that I need to make a judgment. Now, sometimes you have to make a judgment. I mean, life happens. You have to make decisions. Priestesses aren't sitting around just going, oh, I have no thoughts. I have no opinions. I mean, it's not like, that's not what priestessing is. And sometimes priestessing is hammer down. Do you know what I mean? Is gavel down. That was not acceptable. I mean, I have had that conversation with people before and said, that behavior, that way you reacted, not acceptable. And I have those conversations on a regular basis. I'm not afraid to say something. I'm not afraid to judge something, Candace, as long as I have all of the facts. And a lot of times in my personal life, I do. Right? Usually in your personal life, you have both sides. You can figure it out, right? You understand what's happening. You understand motives on both sides. You understand what we call exigent factors, right? Things that are impacting the decision. So in your personal life, sometimes you can judge, right? But be very careful judging things that aren't in your personal sphere. It's all too easy. I mean, we live in a society now that just wants to judge every single person, place. The stuff with Meghan Markle and Harry, by the way, as an example, right? I mean, I'm sorry, but no matter what you think you know about that, I don't think any of us have the facts. And it's not our place to have a perspective on that, even from my vantage point. Stay in your lane. Priestesses don't go outside of their lane. Honestly, if you paid a priestess to come into your lane and do something about it, they probably would say no. If they're ethical about it, because they would say, well, I understand where you're coming from and I would love to support you, but I don't know enough about that. And then you might say, oh, but I'll tell you everything you need to know, right? These people who will sometimes on Etsy, I'll see people who are selling spells, you know what I mean? Like, I'll cast a spell on your behalf and you just tell me what the circumstances were and I'm thinking to myself, for $20 or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, you couldn't pay me 1,000,000 times that to get involved in people's business. It is like, so now even that's a judgment, right? But I will say, I highly doubt that they know everything on both sides of the situations that they would intervene in. And you can create a lot of karmic issues, okay? You see some scary stuff out there. I see it all the time. Even when people are doing readings. I mean, I was always very cautious when doing readings because I realized that people, because of my position, would take what I told them very seriously and sometimes act upon it. And so I really saw that as an ethical issue. I mean, it's like, who am I? I'm going to give you a perspective, but it doesn't mean I know everything. It doesn't mean that you should make your critical life choices based on what I'm telling you, right? I don't know everything about your life. And so that's my number one piece of guidance, I would say, is just stay in your lane. And it's always okay to say, I don't have enough information to judge that. I don't have enough information. What I like to say is, I don't have enough information to have an informed opinion. I don't know. Sometimes even with political stuff, people will be like, this and that, Trump this or whatever. And I'm always like, I don't have enough information to have an informed opinion. I'm open to receiving more information, but I don't have it right now. And it would be unethical for me to share a perspective with you that's based on anything but an informed opinion of both sides. People will respect you for that, right? People will respect you for that. And that's how you earn people's appreciation of you, right? Because they're like, you know what, and then they'll start to say, you know what, what would she do? She wouldn't judge it. She doesn't have enough information to create an informed perspective. But, you know, you see it on Facebook all the time. People just pile on with whatever, current events or, you know, whatever it is. They just pile on. And it's like, do you have enough information to have an informed opinion? By the way, the side benefit of what I'm telling you, when you refuse to leave your lane and get meddle in other people's lives and in their affairs and stuff, guess what happens? Guess how much drama you get exposed to? People are going to stop. If people are bringing you drama all the time, that's a real good hint to you that you're in the wrong lane, because you've become a hub for BS. People ask me, they're like, you know, I used to, and honestly, here's what's really interesting. I used to get private messages all the time. This person said this. Well, you wouldn't believe this. Well, here's a screenshot of this. I almost never see any of that anymore. And it's because people know I'm not doing it. I'm not looking at screenshots. I'm not taking sides. Honestly, I don't care. My life is worth more than that. And my time is really precious. And if I spend an hour on that, I can't ever get that hour back. So my perspective on you, you know, my guidance to you, I should say, is you have to decide how much drama you're going to tolerate. If you want to get involved in issues where you don't have full access to all of the information on both sides. Does that make sense? Okay. From Dorada, she was talking about how do you set boundaries with toxic people? Because she said, because it seems if we are not able to judge their toxic behavior, they should be allowed several chances for just being a hurt human. It's a great question, great comment, right? Yeah, and just tell people I don't entertain that. I don't entertain that. If you don't like what it is, just say I don't entertain it. What is somebody going to say? Please entertain it. They're going to be like, okay, and they'll find somebody else, right? You, however, have every right to declare what is acceptable in your world. You have every right to say what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Even with a close family member, Lorian D. I have a policy, I will tell you, I don't cut people out of my life anymore. I did for a while when I was younger, in my 20s. Did a little bit of that. In my 30s, maybe once or twice. I don't do it anymore. And the reason is I don't really think I need to. I'm very clear with people. That thing that you're doing doesn't work for me. You're welcome to do it, but not around me and not with me. Again, it's not being unkind. It's just saying, look, I do you do you. It doesn't work for me. So, and it could be anything. It could be, maybe you don't like profanity and someone swears around you all the time. You have every right to say, I love you, I enjoy spending time with you. I don't want to hear that. So, with respect, I would like to ask that you don't say those things in front of me. I swear, so I would never say that to somebody, but you know. Now you can, Debbie's like, you know, see you later, right? I don't. What I have found is this: they will leave. I mean, unless you want to do the leaving, and some people get a lot of satisfaction out of being the leaver. Like, I left you, I unfriended you, whatever. Some people get a lot of satisfaction out of that. So if you want to be the leaver, be the leaver. I don't want to be the leaver, but I get left sometimes because there's no vibrational resonance. At some point, people will, what I call, vibe off. And that's the goodbye. And it happens to me with people in my personal life. It happens to me with students sometimes. It happens to me with, it happens. They're just not, the vibe, it's not vibing, right? So it's like they just find their way. I prefer to be left than to leave, because what I've learned is usually when I leave somebody, at some point I want to come back. What's really funny is, in my life, about 75% of the time that somebody leaves me, within a year they come back and they're like, I'm sorry, I was going through it, I was having a breakdown, I shouldn't have said that, like 75% of the time. And then you get to decide, do you want to invite them back or do you want to maintain where you are, right? But they do, they just poof, right? Like Katana said, they just disappear. And I don't question that anymore. For a long time, I was like, what happened to that person? Or I wonder what I did, or I wonder what happened. You know, it's just like, now I'm just like, the universe knows. And there are plenty of people in my life who I know that will never happen with. We've just been vibing in our relationship for so long, like I'm sure they're going to be around forever. But then there are some people who just vibe in, vibe out. But I'm pretty tough. I mean, I really am. For all of my softness, I'm pretty tough. And if there are things happening that I can't stand for, I will absolutely say it. And I will absolutely say, I in no way wish to judge you, but I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to hear it, and I'm not going to allow it. And so if that's where you need to be, please enjoy. It just isn't something that's working for me. And then sometimes people will find their way out on that premise. Well, and that's true. So Casey said, for the longest time, I just wanted to be loved by everyone. But now I give that to myself. I mean, if I have a friend who's pretty open about the fact that what's most important to her is that people like her. She acknowledges it. She's my age. At least she knows. I mean, that's a driving force in her life. She wants everyone to like her. She takes it really personally if somebody unfriends her, if they don't invite her to things. She gets all kind of wound up and wrapped around the axle on stuff like that. I don't. Do you know what I mean? If I don't get invited, if I'm not included, I just trust the universe. But there are some people who really, really, really want to be liked by everybody. From my perspective, that's not even possible. I mean, if I really held that as a goal, I would barely get out of bed, because not everybody likes me. Not everybody likes the way I look. Not everybody likes the way I teach. Not everybody likes what I say. Not everybody likes what I sell. Not everybody likes... There's a lot of things people can not like about me. So if that was my criterion for how successful I am, I'd be a fucking mess. Right? So you have to figure out where you are. Now, sometimes when you want to be liked by everybody, that's when you get yourself into the drama situation. And then you find yourself trying to play both sides. Has that happened to you? Where like the drama people are like blah, 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 blah. And then the person they're talking about is your friend too. And they're like blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden you're like, what do I do? I want them to like me and I want them to like me. And they're, you know what I mean? That stuff exhausts me. It literally drains my life force. So what I'm telling you is, if enough's enough for you, then figure out what your goalpost is, or figure out my mentor used to say, figure out what hill you're willing to die on. What's your you shall not pass line, and then stick to it. Stick to it. Be a tough cookie. I sleep really well at night. My conscience is very clear. But that's because I don't talk shit about people, and I don't get involved in drama. I just have a no drama mama policy. I don't do it, so I don't have to worry. And I also don't sit around like telling one person one thing, another person another thing, so I don't have to manage that. But you told me blah, 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 and she told me blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I'm too old, and my memory is really bad. Honestly, I would forget. If you're young and you have energy for that shit, great. Congratulations. I'm too old for that. I do. I sleep very well at night. I will tell you something. I will always just tell you how it is. You may not like it, but you're going to get it. Okay. So MJ asked, great question. I mean, honestly, your questions are so beautiful. They're like poetic. They're so good. So please just know how grateful I am for your questions, because they get me thinking, they get everybody else thinking, they just do. And by the way, I should tell you, in case you didn't see, because I had a post on Facebook about this, but you may not have seen it. This came up with my kids recently. So Zoe has a social media account. And my agreement with her was, you can have this account, but the minute you start talking about anybody else, you're not allowed to talk about people. You're not allowed to post pictures of people. You're not allowed to tag people. Your account is your account, but you cannot reference another living being. You can't say their name. You can't tag them. You can't post pictures of them, nothing. And so she did. She mentioned somebody. And it was in a positive way, but I still took the post down. And I said, you do that again, it's the end of social media till you're 18. because that is how drama starts, and I'm not doing it. And I'm not going to manage it for you. You know, and I told her, I explained how in social media things are like snowballs, right? Like it starts really small and then it gets really big. And she was like, but I want to tag my friends. And it's like, So anyway, she's on her last notice. She mentions people one more time, she's out of there. I'm telling you, I'm tough. But it's with love, you know, and it's also because I'm looking out for her, and I just know that things can, even with good intentions, things can pick up speed real quick and go in a direction that it's not good. Okay, so MJ said, as a priestess, how do you handle or deal with someone who's always in victim mode? Can I get an amen on this question from MJ? We're all thankful for you, MJ. Who posts and comments or in person, they're always negative, but when you approach them about it, they go into full victim mode and it becomes all about them and their pity party instead of seeing that they were the problem, but they would rather gossip, block, and judge. We all have them in our lives. Would love to hear your thoughts on how to navigate this spiritually and like a priestess. Can I get an amen? Yeah, I unfollow. So my first line of defense is I unfollow, because unfriending is like an act of war, right? But unfollow is like, I don't want to see your things anymore, right? Okay. Here's the thing. And this may sound like a weird response, okay? Kombucha break. This may sound weird. The reality is, I try not to let anything that anybody does bother me. I try not to let anything that anybody does ruffle my feathers. If something gets to me, like really gets to me, it's got to really work to like burrow in at this point. If people want to be negative Nellies or drama all the time or feel sorry for themselves, remember that people are working from their level of conscious development, and that's where they are right now. I'm not everybody's priestess. I'm not here to help every single person come out of victim mode. They are learning something by being there. One day they'll decide they've had enough of that. And then they won't need me or anybody else to get them out, because they will decide they've had enough of that. For now, so let me say this again. I never let anyone else's actions, as much as I can, I never let anyone else's actions bother me or ruffle my feathers. They can post as much weird, bitchy shit in Facebook as they want. That's why it's like sometimes when you guys are like, oh, I wish people wouldn't post, or they post and they're just asking for help, and they, it's like, here's the thing. If it's bothering you, you got to ask yourself why it's triggering you. Is it because you're also feeling like a victim? Or is it because you're feeling like other people are asking too much of you in other parts of your life? Are they asking you to save them? And so because that's happening to you in your life, you look at that and you're like, there you are, one more person who wants me to save you. The reality is people's posts are about them. They're not about you. They're about them. So unless you are intimately interested in them, I wouldn't even continue. And then if you are intimately interested, you have to ask yourself why. Is it because you love them? Is it because it's triggering something in you? Is it because you're going through the same thing? My mantra is, why do you care? I mean, again, people have to work really hard to get me to have a reaction. Because every post I read, it's a running ticker in my mind that this is about this person. This is where they are. I can have compassion for them, but I don't even have to have that. I can just see it and keep going, right? And that's okay. right? It's true. Like T. Hensley said, you give people your power. People, here's the thing, when people post stuff, people don't post things unless they would like some kind of a reaction, right? So they're almost, in cases where it's drama, they're almost counting on you being triggered. If you agree to that exchange, it's partly about them and it's partly about you. And so is it that you also want to be saved? Is it that you have a savior complex? You feel like you can save people, so you want to try to save them. I'm not interested in saving people. I know what that does to my energy field. And so I have no desire to save people. So sometimes I'll say a little prayer and then I keep scrolling. Or I'll if it's really negative, I'll unfollow it because my eyes don't need to see it. Does that make sense? I could have responded to that question in 100 different ways, but that's my best thinking right now. Is just at some point, you got to stop letting things affect you that way. You won't be able to do this work for very long if you do. If I let every single thing, can you imagine what comes across my desk? You don't need to think about it, but have you ever stopped to think about it? I don't know sometimes exactly like how I manage it. Indulge it for a second, right? There's no way. There is literally no physical, energetic, emotional way. To do this 9 years later, that's their stuff. And it gets crazy. It's not your stuff. Close your eyes for a second. I love you guys. Thank you. I don't always do the best job. I make a bunch of mistakes, and I try to do things as gracefully as I can. And my heart's really in this. I really do care about you. I care about your life. But I also understand, I'm blessed if the energy comes through me. It's not of me. I can't fix anything myself. I'm a soul in a meat suit just like you. I know how to do some magical things and I can summon some energy and I can channel it, but I can't. That would be my ego. If I thought I could fix shit for people, that would be my ego. Oh, come here, let me fix all that for you, right? So that's why I really want you to remember what your responsibility is. First and foremost, your responsibility is to yourself. You are here to figure this shit out for yourself. And all of us are here to trigger you, to teach you, to piss you off, to love you, to support you, to leave you, to wound you, to nourish you, as a way of teaching you. Right? It's really important. I wrote this for you, MJ, and I don't know why. What I wrote is, any assumption that people will change is flawed. Any assumption that people will change is flawed. I don't know why I said that in my response back to MJ. Never assume anyone in your life will change. And I guess an addendum to that is never assume that you can change them or that you will. You set yourself up for failure and disappointment. And you set them up for failure and disappointment. So my working assumption is no one in my life is ever going to change. My relationship isn't going to change. My kids aren't going to change. It can. It's not that anything can't change, but my working assumption is that it will not. And that makes me happy. Because I'm not expecting you to be any different. It liberates people. I don't expect my kids to be anything other than they are. I don't expect my husband to be anything other than he is. I don't expect you to be anything other than you are. Which frees you to be you. And it also allows you to trust me, because I'm not here secretly trying to change you. And it allows you to be honest with me, because I'm not going to judge you. And it allows us to have a clean relationship. Any assumption that people in your life are going to change is flawed. People change when it's time and when they are motivated. But it's not going to be because you want it. So I do. I love you for who you are, Debbie Wooby. I don't need you to change. I love you for who you are. And because of that, you can't disappoint me. So I also protect my heart that way. If I'm waiting for you to change and you don't, what happens? What happens to our relationship? If I'm sitting here going, one day, Cindy Conti, I love her, but one day she's going to be so different. And then a year goes by and 2 years go by and 3 years go by and Cindy hasn't changed. Then I'm resentful as shit. And how does that show up in a relationship? How many marriages have you seen fall apart because of this? One day he's going to change. One day she's going to change. And then 10 years later, they're divorced. Resentment is not good for your skin. Honestly, it really isn't. Resentment will tangle your intestines. It will really mess up your digestion. It causes premature aging. Resentment is really bad for your physical appearance. If you resent somebody, it's your own fault. You wanted something you didn't get. And why did you want it? Because you thought, or you expected, or you believed, right? That's right. Resentment's not cute. And it's not fun. Okay. Heidi Cruz, thank you, darling. She said, Athena, you mentioned to hold on to this question of ghosting. What happens and how to cope or view it from both sides? You ready for this, Heidi Cruz? Ghosting is vibing off. I haven't really been ghosted on because... Cue siren. The last time I went on a date was in 1998, 99. So I don't really... I don't date much these days. But I'm sure somebody would ghost on me if I did. In fact, probably like 75% of people would probably ghost on me. It's happening a lot, though, to people. The vibe isn't there. And the thing is, from my perspective, you can't take it personally. Not everybody's going to love the tea that you're serving. And here's the bigger issue. Well, Candace Mills said it's cowardly. Guess what, Candace? Not everybody has balls of steel. It takes so much presence, energy, maturity, power to acknowledge that your vibration is not in alignment with another human. To get on that phone, to look in their eyes, so Gina, let me back up. Ghosting. Does anybody else want to say what ghosting is? Ghosting is like leaving with no explanation. But it's being kind of dumped in my experience, but like there's no completion, there's no closure, there's no, I don't want to do this anymore, there's no, I found somebody else, there's no nothing. You just never hear from that person again. Like one day you do and the other day you don't ever again, so you get no closure. That's ghosting. Okay. I wouldn't ghost on you, right? I would be the one to pick up the phone or come and see you in person and look in your eyes and say, vibrationally, we're not a match. I think you're so cool. I wish you all the best. I'm just not feeling it. But that's because my balls are literally made out of stainless steel. Most people are not that way. They're not going to have the courage, the stamina, the maturity, to say, this isn't working for me, right? Yeah. As if they were never there. Here's the thing. Bye. Bye-bye. feel like the lady on the plane sometimes it's not a lady, sometimes it's a gentleman. the flight attendants who are at the, when you're leaving the plane and they're like, bye, bye-bye, have a good day, bye, oh, thank you, take care, bye. I feel like that sometimes. Bye. Okay, bye. Bye. Let people go when they're not in alignment. Bye. Oh, thank you. Bye. Bye. I'm serious. Every time I get off a plane and they're like, I'm like, that's me in relationships. Bye. Bye-bye. So Santa Priya asked, is ghosting not good in all situations? I don't think it's good to have unclean relationships. Ghosting is unclean, right? Ghosting's unclean. I mean, and again, sometimes years down the road, you'll get a chance to have reconciliation where you'll say, WTF, you know what I mean? I never heard from you. You never said anything. I've even had like employment relationships where like, like I'll have an employee who's doing a great job and been here a long time, and all of a sudden they just resign, done, bye, gotta go, bye. Bye! I mean, if you hang on to everything, the number one thing you have to learn as a priestess is 99% of stuff is not about you. Even when you're being ghosted on, it isn't about you. It's not because you weren't good enough or smart enough or funny enough or interesting enough, or 99% of the time it's, and sometimes they don't sometimes they just walk out. You know what I mean? I'm not into unclean relationships. If you're going to be in a relationship with me, you're going to know where I'm at. And I'd like to know where you're at. And I feel like it's okay to ask that. But I don't really enjoy unclean relationships. But you have to know, what people do is 99% of the time has nothing to do with you. And yet, what do? We sit at home going, what could I have done? Maybe if I'd worn a different outfit, or I don't know, maybe I talked too much. Did I talk too much? Maybe I didn't talk enough. I didn't really laugh at that joke. Maybe I should have laughed at the joke. Did I have too many glasses of wine? And we're sitting here like playing the whole thing. I hope it's helpful because I want you to power up. It isn't, people don't know how to be in clean relationships. They don't know how to be authentic. They don't want to be dumped, so they'd rather be the dumper than the dumpy, right? And my thing is, I sleep well at night because I know where I'm at, and I also know where the people I'm in relationships with are at. So I don't have to sit there at night going, well, I wonder if he's interested, or I wonder if she, or I don't want to wonder anything. I will just go up to you and go, are you into me? Are you enjoying this? Is this a good class? Is our relationship okay? Are you happy? But we've lost this ability to just have really honest conversations with each other. If I was to get into a relationship now, it'd be really funny. I've often thought about what in like just like funny thoughts, like what would my dating profile look like? I have no interest in dating, but it's just like my dating profile would be like, listen, I do clean relationships. If you're a ghoster, or if you don't have balls, it's probably best that you don't even talk to me or reach out to me. Have a good day. I don't know. No, people will ghost in professional environments. People will ghost in friendships. People will ghost in all kinds of environments because they're not strong enough to be in clean relationships, because clean relationships require candor. And candor's really tough for people. Yeah, if it gets weird, you know what I mean? Thank you, please drive through. That's right, Ursula. Thank you, come again, bye. Just imagine me going, bye, thank you, oh, bye. Double bye. Ooh. Jacqueline Downing, what key thoughts or examples would you share with someone focused on honing their discernment skills? This is where I want to dig in a little bit. Bye! You're going to think about it later. You're going to be like, what would Athena do? Bye! With love, you know what I mean? You're not being unkind, but it's like, gotta go. I want to take my discernment to the next level and teach others discernment. This is from Jacqueline Downing. Okay. No, seriously. This is the academic part of our conversation today, so put your thinking cap on for just a moment. Bye! There's 2 ways to think, okay? I'm going to teach you a little history while I do it. Oh, don't. Nikki mentioned the toy store Barbie. I won't be able to get it out of my head now. Having seen that movie like 3,000 times with my kids, oh my God. Can we watch Toy Story again? And I'm sitting there like, I can't do it. Okay. There's 2 ways to think. Vertical and horizontal. What we call lateral. Okay? Are you ready? Going back to ancient Greek philosophy, you had Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates. Okay, they're called the Holy Trinity of modern philosophy, right? These were the original Greek thinkers. These were the forefathers of everything we know today as logic philosophy, and really the I would say the foundational voices in modern education, especially liberal arts education: Plato, Socrates, Aristotle. And so what they focused on in ancient Greek philosophy is something called logos, okay? And logos is the root word of logic. And so in ancient Greece, what was really, really prized, don't take notes. My team will take notes. You just be here with me for a minute, otherwise I'm going to lose you. So Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates were very interested in logic. The idea that there is truth with a capital T, and that we can find it. And through reason and through logic and through analysis and through research, we can find out what the truth is. That is vertical thinking. Vertical thinking is linear thinking. A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D, leads to E. Okay? Like if you're watching the trial that's going on right now in our country, it's all vertical, right? A to B to C to D to E. The law is based on vertical reasoning. Medicine is based on vertical reasoning. You present with this symptom, I diagnose you with this thing, I give you this drug, you get better. A to B to C to D, okay? So all of the modern day professions are based on vertical thinking. It is masculine. It's exactly, Holly's like 2 steps ahead of me, and Lynette is too. That is masculine. Right? If I prick you, you will bleed. I mean, it's true, but it's very simple and it's very one-directional, okay? And vertical thinking, founded by Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates, carried us all the way through to the Renaissance, right? Through which swept through Europe, and really was the foundation of what we call the humanities today, humanism, right? Like man and his mind, and man can figure it out, man can analyze, man can do research, right? The alternative is horizontal thinking, what's known as lateral thinking, which was a term developed by Edward de Bono, who's a famous researcher that you can look up. Okay, you don't need to research de Bono because I'll tell you what de Bono said right now. I'll give you like the Cliff's Notes version. I used to teach de Bono when I was a consultant. Okay, cueing sirens. Okay, so I would go into organizations that are all vertical, right? And they're having problems. They're not making money. They're not. When I was a consultant, their profits are down. Their revenue's down. They've got high employee turnover rates. They're whatever. And they would ask me to come in and fix it. And so what I would do is I would take their vertical systems and I would lateralize them. And I would say, okay, so you think CEO that you're gonna fix your problems in this company vertically. Like, oh, we're not making enough money, so we will make more products, and then we will sell those products, and then that will solve our problems. It's very reasonable, very logical. The problem is it doesn't always work. Feminine thinking is lateral thinking. And instead of going A to B to C to D, feminine thinking goes A to F. Drives men crazy sometimes, by the way, because I'm a naturally lateral thinker. It will drive you nuts if you let it, okay? But I go from A to F. So I would say, instead of making more products, why don't you try closing some of your less profitable offices around the world? Wouldn't that save you Wouldn't that save you the same amount of money that you're trying to make without having to invest in new products and new staff? Right? I'm like trying to cue Siren while I teach you. And then they would say, oh, yeah, well, we have 2 underperforming offices, one in Amsterdam and one in London. And if we close those offices, then we would save the same amount of money that we're trying to make without having to go through research and development to build these new products, which may not be successful at the end of the day. And the market's doing this and all these things, okay? That's a corporate example. And so then I had one client who was like, they just loved me because they closed those 2 offices. They saved something like $8 million a year. And they were only going to make $6 million a year from the 2 new products they were going to launch. And it turned out later that those products were developed by somebody else. So they wouldn't even have made that $6 million. But they had never considered closing those 2 offices. And even better, they were able to save those employees. I helped them map a plan to relocate those employees with a bonus relocation package to other offices where ultimately those employees were happier anyway, closer to family, things like that. They would never have engaged that possibility without going from A to F, because they were going A to B to C to D. To make more money, we have to make more things. That's a very linear, masculine kind of way of approaching things. So what I want to suggest to you is how this might apply to you in your own life. I want to improve my relationship. So you go, well, I want to improve my relationship, so I'm going to give more to that relationship, whatever it is. And then he or she is going to respond this way, and then everything will be better, right? A to B to C to D. But the reality is, that thing that you're going to give that you think is going to fix it, what if it doesn't? Then you're going to be resentful. Then you're going to be like, well, I shouldn't even have spent that time working on that relationship, right? Versus, and here's how lateral thinking works. Don't go A to B to C to D. This is discernment, you guys. I'm teaching you how to apply wisdom, okay? Try not going A, B, C, D. Ask yourself this. Are you ready? What do I want? What is my ultimate goal? And what are 5 different ways to get there? That allows you to, if you want to do the vertical thing because you're married to it and it bothers you to think outside the box, whatever. But then I want you to also give me 4 other ways to get there. Because you have to think about all the options. I've shared this example with you too before. So my mentor at USC, who was the president, I worked for him for years, actually didn't make his money as the president of the USC. He made his fortune because he's the one who made the touchpad that's on your microwave and your dishwasher. He held the patent. He died a few years ago, but he held the patent. He was the inventor of all touchpads on all microwaves and dishwashers in the world. So the man was like, he was such a great mentor, but he was endlessly wealthy, okay? And I asked him, and he wrote about it. How did you do that? I mean, imagine trying to create a touchpad that would operate, right, those 2 devices. And he said that the way he figured it out was he laid down on the floor of his apartment one night. He was in graduate school when he did this. And it was revolutionary. This was in like the 60s. And he laid down on his apartment floor one night and he asked himself, how would a French horn operate a dishwasher? How would an elephant operate a dishwasher? How would my mom operate a dishwasher? How would a snake operate a dishwasher? And started thinking about how different things would touch it and what they would. It's out of the box thinking. But again, if it's not vertical, you would never think about how an elephant would use a dishwasher if you're trying to engage masculine vertical thinking. You have to go horizontal in order for any of this to get activated. Does that make sense? Well, I teased him about that, Candace. He was very straight and narrow, my mentor. So I don't think he was, but I would have to be pretty high to think about how an elephant would operate a dishwasher. It would take some substances. My point to you in all of this, I'm coming back to Jacqueline's question, is a couple things, and I want to go to my notes because I don't want to miss anything that I wanted to tell you, okay? Number 1, this requires that you stop judging. Are you seeing a theme today? You need to stop assuming things. My relationship will get better if. I will be happier when. I'll make more money if. Because that leads to this one thing, this vertical thinking. And then when that one thing doesn't work out, then we get discouraged, then we drop out, then we get angry, we get resentful, right? Yes, discernment and non-attachment are related. There's 1,000 ways to get to yes. I don't know if I'm sure I did tell you this, but the last, was it 2 ayahuascas ago? Yeah, it was 2 ayahuascas ago. The mantra of the whole journey was, there's always another way. And she kept saying to me, don't ever say no before you ask yourself, is there another way to do this? Is there another way to improve my relationship? Is there another way to improve my finances? Is there another way to, in my case, helping those companies and that CEO, right? Is there another way to do this? Do you remember? And she kept giving me example after example after example. There's always another way. There's always another way. There's always another way. Keep going, keep going, keep going. There's always another way. This is discernment. Discernment is keep going. There's always another way. If you want what you want, right? This is the theme today. I mean, it's definitely part of what's happening. Bypass your initial assumptions in order to get to the root question. Discernment is getting to the root question. When you have a client come to you, they're going to, whether you're working as a crystal healer or a channel or whatever it is, right? Because a lot of you are going to be, if you don't have your own practice already, you will. And a client will come to you and say, oh, I'm so depressed because I fill in the blank, right? Help me, help me, help me. Your first job is to ask them, what are you really asking? What's the root question? That's not the root question. And then they'll ask again and then say, and keep pressing. I don't know if that's it. That's not the root. And then you have to pull layer after layer after layer off before you finally get to the real issue. I had a friend years ago, I did a reading for her. And she kept saying that it was, she was unhappy in her relationship because she didn't feel wanted and all these things, okay? And I kept saying, that's not the root issue, right? What's the root issue? In medicine, they call it the presenting problem, right? In qualitative academic research, they call it the central question. Presenting problem, presenting issue, central question, root question. Medicine has this, qualitative research and sociology and the social sciences has this, coaching has it, okay? What are you really trying to get to? And what I really was able to figure out with her in that example was she didn't feel wanted by anybody in her life. It wasn't just about her relationship. She didn't feel like her kids wanted her. She didn't feel like her parents wanted her when she was born. She didn't feel like her friends really wanted to be her friend. And so what she was asking about, and even in her mind, she thought it was about her relationship, had nothing to do with her relationship. It actually had to do with her birth parents. Once we got there, and that's my job as a coach, right? It is your job as well. Imagine if I had just dealt with her at the level of her current relationship. Would I have been helping her at all? So my discernment told me she's asking me about this, but it isn't about this. This started far before this because now she's imprinted, right? Now she looks at every relationship in her life and doesn't feel wanted. And that's because it all goes back to those two people who didn't want her. And so what we did is we worked on healing not being wanted by your biological parents, which is fucked up, but also very possible. And once she was able to heal that the current relationship issues sorted themselves. but we would never have gotten there if I had not pressed. And she kept going, no, it is about him. It is about this. I can give you 100 examples. And I was like, yeah, but it isn't about this. I can feel it. And afterwards, she was like, I mean, she just felt like it was like an exorcism, right? Because it's like taking these layers and layers and layers and layers, right? It's never too late. But it does require discernment. And hypnosis is great for this too, right? That's right. Yeah, it's a big release when you finally get there. And you'll know. You know, people will ask me, well, how do you know if you've gotten to the root question? You know how you'll know? The exhale. Because truth elicits a visceral response in the body. Your body knows truth. When somebody's telling you the truth, or they're preaching the truth, or they're speaking the truth, there's some place in you that is also true, and the light in them finds the light in you, and you can feel that, like, oh my God, that's it. And then all of a sudden you turn to the person who helps you and you're like, oh my God, you're so amazing, right? And it's like, no, I'm not amazing. I just used discernment to parse through this and get to what's actually happening. And as long as you're treating the symptoms, you're never going to heal the disease. The disease is much bigger than the symptom, right? Let me see if I can get to one more, and then I have to... Can you believe it's been an hour? I mean, is it just me? Does it go on? Does it seem like it lasts a long time to you guys? Because to me, I swear to God, I look up at the clock and I'm like, there's no way it's 4:04 p.m. I'm always curious. Does it seem like class goes by really fast to you, or does it seem like it goes by really slow? It's like, what? But sometimes to students, it's like, no, it went by really slow. Let me see if I can get to a couple really quickly. Sarah Lucas, how do I differentiate between apathy, depression, and laziness? It's crazy, isn't it? Bye-bye! Bye! I'm going to make a video of me, a little GIF going, bye! Bye! And you can just play it on your phone all the time. Whenever you're upset, you can just click on it and I'll go, bye! She said, this time last year I was seeing colors and shapes during meditation, and I was actually meditating and working with my tools and maintaining my altar, and now nothing. I kind of feel stuck. I'll make you laugh all day. Yeah, it should be your ringtone. Bye! We ebb and we flow, Sarah. There are times where I want all my tools all the time, to touch them, to work with them, to hold them, and then I'll go months where I don't want them. And I think part of it is, so part of the answer to your question is, part of it is Spirit does train you how to do your work without tools. Because if you can only do your work when you have your tools, what are you going to do when you're like traveling, or somebody finds you in Trader Joe's and you don't have anything? You can't help them. So Spirit at some point has to train you to do your shit without tools. Tools are great. They're not the magic, right? The other side of that coin is, and then Spirit will like bring you back to your tools, right? But it's, yeah, I mean, I'm real good without tools. I've got 2 amazing tools right here. I can shift everything in your field with just these tools right here. I don't need anything else. I love having candles. I love smudging. I love all the things. You know, I'm a thing person. But man, I could turn you inside out, and I don't need a thing to do it, right? So that's the power that Spirit has to teach you. The other part of the equation, though, is you need inspiration, Sarah Lucas. That was my intuition for you. You need inspiration. And for me, when I need inspiration, I don't go to the traditional sources. Like lately, I've been wanting inspiration, and so I'm going to take a cooking class. I've never taken a cooking class before, but I I'm cooking a lot more now than I used to, cooking at least a couple times a week. I'm so busy, I don't have any more time than that to cook, but I'm trying to cook as much as I can, and I'm like really back into it. And I mean, look, that's not going to help Sage Goddess. Sage Goddess isn't a cooking thing. I'm not going to cook for people, but it's going to inspire me. And then that will, you know, stir up my juices, and then maybe it will inspire a perfume, right? Or maybe it always comes back around. But when you try to go for inspiration, right, think outside the box. It doesn't have to be what you always do, where you always go. Go to one of those clay places where they give you a little, you know, little cup and you can paint it. What do they call it? Like over here it's called like Color Me Mine or something. Like do something like that, or go to the park, or take a wine class, right? Or if you were here, I would cook. I actually love cooking for people. It's the Greek in me. Like I love, if I put food in front of you and you enjoy it, it's like I just sit there like a little kid like, you loved it. You need to be inspired. And a lot of times things that are not magical will inspire your magical practice. So don't hesitate to go do something out of the box. Take a dance class, take a pottery class. Dancing can be weird and scary for people because people, in my experience, don't want to expose their bodies, and they also don't want to be awkward in front of other people. So that's why for me it's like jewelry making, baking, cake decorating, cooking, wine, whatever. Much easier than like, hey, I'm going to go try this weird dance class that you all have been in for all of your lives, and now I'm going to shake it like a newbie. You know, dance classes are weird for me. And I have good rhythm, but I still, like, there's a tribal dance class over here in the South Bay that I wanted to take, but like, I'm going to walk in there and like, I've never done it before. These women are all like tribal experts and I'm going to look like a fool, right? Yeah, dance if you want to, if it resonates with you. I love the Artist's Way. Thank you, Tara. Love the Artist's Way. Artist's Way is fun because it's inspiring. There's like a journal component to it. I filled my Artist's Way book out. I think I got the Artist's Way back in like, I don't even know, 2005 or something. Get a drum. Get a rain disc. Get some river rocks and some acrylic paint. You know what I mean? If you have your tools from last month, keep painting rocks, or I don't know, but try it. Witchers is on my next list, or Witcher, after I'm done with Vikings. Then I'm on to Witcher. I have a list of series, but my commitment is, because I only watch 1 hour of TV a week. I know, it's crazy, but TV really dulls my intuition. If I watch too much TV, I can't read. For people, it calcifies my pineal gland. So, and it imprints on my subconscious, and then I can't sleep. So I can't watch TV really. I watch cooking shows sometimes. I love Valerie. Is it Valerie's Kitchen or whatever? I love that, but I can't watch more than like an hour of TV a week, or my intuition just plummets. TV is programming. And the thing is, like, I'm constantly trying to remove programming, and so if I just put programming on top of programming, then I'm not, I can feel the effects. I have no judgment, by the way, for people who watch it. Like, when I go do my MS infusion once a month, there's just people sitting there infusing, and they just watch TV for like the whole 6 or 8 hours they're infusing, and I think to myself, like, if I did that, I wouldn't be able to sleep for a week. So anyway, think about, you have to recognize that everything has an impact on your intuition. So when you want to develop some of your psychic gifts, your clair gifts, it's important to also think about mitigating how much programming you receive, because it's very subconscious. You can say, well, I'm not taking it in, but it's not your conscious mind that's taking it, it's your subconscious mind. I had to really do a lot of detox after Handmaid's Tale. Lots of detox after Handmaid's Tale. Okay, so I did not get through very much today, but I hope you enjoyed it. They just were like really rich questions, like thick desserts. So I really wanted to dig in and give you equally rich responses. So I will follow up with the audio. Bear with me. It may take me a while. It may actually take me until I'm back from Tucson. So please bear with me. Just know I'm doing the absolute best I can to keep up with everything. And I never want to give you short shrift. So I will get back to all of your questions. It just may take me a minute to do that. Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And I'm glad that you guys were able to do some good information sharing in the feed too, because some of you have tips and techniques and strategies for things that you do. And I think it's really, really helpful for you guys. Somebody posted, and I can't remember which one of you it was, it's my old aging brain, posted and said something like, just remember that, Athena's really smart and she's got lots of good guidance, but there's lots of people in the group who are very wise too. And so, definitely consider hearing them, receiving what they have to say. I'm going to reinforce that. I am not always the smartest person in the group. I have a perspective. You're obviously here for it. I love that you appreciate my perspective, but there's so much beauty and power in the group that doesn't belong to me. So I want you to make sure that you also take advantage of the resources, because you've got some pretty amazing human beings in that group, and they're worth listening to. Somebody asked what's on my shirt. I don't know. It's like a tribal something. Did you see my necklace? Isn't it cute? This is our new custom necklace that we got in. Everybody was asking for Hamza, so I wanted to show you. So it's gold with the black rhodium again, the black silver, I should say, with garnets. A little protective Hamza for you. Isn't it cute? It's like just the right size. It just came in today, so I'm all excited about it. It's not available yet, so this was just a tease. All right, so thank you for being here. More to come soon from me. Tomorrow we have a live gem sale. About a third of the things, at least a quarter of the things, are from Tucson that I brought home. Dave and I brought them home in my suitcase and in his backpack. I've got the most beautiful natural citrine wands. I have scheelite. I have sausarite. I've got these scolecite sterling silver pendulums tomorrow. I only have 3 of these. So I've got some really, I literally brought back a bunch of things from Tucson for tomorrow's live gem sale at 4 p.m. So if you want to see more from Tucson, please don't miss that. And then Wednesday we have class. Right after class, I get on a plane with Team SG and we head back to Tucson again for more adventures. They're really pretty. So anyway, stay tuned. Really beautiful things tomorrow at really great prices. And then, if you haven't yet, please go and follow Kirsten on Instagram, my friend Kirsten Powers, who just launched her How to Do You podcast today. I'm really excited about it. And she's my BFF. So I really appreciate you supporting her, because it's kind of like supporting me too. Magician pendants are coming, but probably not for another 2 months. A month, 2 months. I'm doing silver first. I probably will do gold after. And then I'm doing some plain and then some with citrine. So all of that is coming, but we're working on it. Oh, thank you, Jackie Andrews. I'm telling you, when I don't have gray hair, I look better. Oh, yeah. All the magic is about to happen, you guys. So thank you for being here tonight. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the audio follow-up, and I will look forward to seeing you gem sale tomorrow and then for class and for readings on Wednesday. Have a great night, you guys. I love you. I'll see you soon.